Morning, everybody. It's Action Day. It's the 5th of November, and thank you for being counted in. This is a very important day. We've already had a YouTube and Facebook presentation from our leaders to discuss the importance of this event. We're now moving forward with the campaign, and I thank you all for joining into this call. And we've got a senior executive from our TNFSE committee, Steve Albon, on to answer some questions. So you're welcome to put your questions forward in the chat box.
Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming on. And I think the important thing I want to start off with is to say that I don't think the UK or the CWU or anyone really would ever forget the work you continue to do. A great risk to keep the UK connected. But unfortunately, it's clear that BT have. There's attacks taking place to all BT and EE key workers on a number of fronts. And these attacks are taking place in different ways in different lines of business. I'm coming on today to talk about consumer, but these attacks are our union, and we are the union, by the way. It's our collective voice with the employer to protect and improve the terms and conditions we've got. And we've built up some fantastic terms and conditions over 30 years. But a group of new management have come in and they want to attack the union. They want to attack what we have and what we've agreed in good faith. And BT is our company. These individuals won't be here in 3 or 4 years' time. They want to come in, make a name for themselves and move on at our cost. So, like I said, every part of this campaign impacts absolutely everybody. So I'll touch on the consumer issues because this is what I've been asked to come on and talk about. So we've had numerous attacks on higher graded work, which has a massive impact on career progression. We have agreements to grade many roles, whether it be Camp 3 that you'll be aware of. We've had tech experts, trainers, support roles. And all the dates we agreed to do those, the company have failed. But equally, they haven't even followed the processes to do them. Now we've started to do them, and they're significantly downgrading them, which is going to massively impact people's career progression. In addition, they've introduced a new operating model. This operating model, again, was designed to downskill or undervalue the role that you do. Because let's be clear, Nick Lane believes that nobody has different skills within consumer. Every role is the same. And he believes, in our opinion, there should only be one grade, and that's TM1. So in addition to that, we've obviously seen around the country redundancies taking place in various lines of business, whether it be technology and enterprise. In consumer, we've had them in Aberdeen. And whilst it's unique in other lines of business that they have announced their site strategy, and that's still bad because there are sites in those lines of business that haven't been announced, so clearly you're at risk. Nick Lane in consumer refuses to announce what his site strategy is. We believe he's doing that for a reason. We believe, like he did in Aberdeen, where he bounces at the last minute, he doesn't want to let people know that they're going to close because he doesn't want to upset customer service. So he'd rather tell you at the last minute to lower the impact of that. But we only have to have a look around the country where we have similar sites in similar locations. I think everyone who hasn't been announced, we believe, has to be at risk, and we need to fight that. Because if a joined up approach around site closures across all lines of business, we believe would prevent the need for closure. I think in addition as well, one of the important things to note is with Aberdeen, we've been very successful in getting our members home to homework. And the company surveyed you recently, and that survey didn't ask the right questions. So we surveyed you, and we asked the very simple question: would you want to work from home permanently if the choice was there? And 94% of you said yes. So clearly, if home working was an option, and we did offer that option in Aberdeen, and they refused, we believe we could massively limit the number of people who would have to be made leave the company, potentially leave the company or leave consumer. Because home working would work. We believe people would be prepared to travel if it was once a month, a little bit further, maybe sort of one-to-one. And I think we want to continue to explore that, but the company refused to do that. In addition, they're attacking your terms and conditions. Now, I don't want people to be complacent and think just because they've introduced unagreed terms and conditions for new entrants, that's not going to have an impact on you. But let's be clear, it has a massive impact on those new entrants. In the region over £2,000 is being stripped away from their salaries with the failure for them to pay bank holidays now other than Christmas and Boxing Day, and they're stripping away the Sunday allowance. But if we don't win this fight, you will be next. Under no illusion, you'll be next. We've spoken to our EE colleagues, and he took away bank holiday payments for the T-Mobile staff when EE came in and took over. So be very, very, very aware. Don't be complacent. This is the start of many other attacks on us if we don't win this battle. So if you look at things like pay and pension protection, if you look at agreements like EDI, which is the effective deployment of displaced individuals, all those agreements are at risk. This is last chance saloon. Be under no illusion. I've worked for many years in non-recognised areas. In non-recognised areas, they don't negotiate. They impose. They impose their will. And this is what they're starting to do now. They're imposing things rather than negotiating. And we need to get them back around the table. Now, the only way we're going to get them back around the table, we believe, is by having a consultative ballot year. And that's been announced. It opens on the 19th of November and closes on the 10th of December. And don't just say, yes, I'll definitely vote yes. You need to get every single one of your colleagues to vote yes. You need to speak to as many people as you can and pass the message on. We need not just a yes vote, we need a massive turnout in this ballot. And if we do that, we believe the company will have to come back to the table, and hopefully we can get an agreement that resolves the issues that we've got, and they listen to the alternative methods we believe that would limit the damage to our members. So it's so crucial that you all take part in this ballot, because if you don't, like I said, we'll go away from what we've had for many, many years of negotiating and coming to agreements to a world where things are just imposed on you. This is last chance saloon. If we don't win this fight, we might as well all pack up and go home. So you're going to play a massive, crucial part in this. So get people to read bulletins, get people to listen, and make sure that every single person that you know is voting yes in this ballot, and then we can get them back around the table and try and resolve these issues.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for that introduction. As Steve has just said, this is the most serious position we've been in. I've worked for BT now for 40 years and been a union member all that time, and I've never known anything like this as the way the company's attacking us. I thank Steve and the union for getting people and our key workers working from home. I think you might have covered some of the questions that have come in, Steve, but just to reiterate, you mentioned about the unagreed terms and conditions, and they're on 18,500 and it affects Sunday pay and overtime pay. But what about the people on the other terms and conditions? What will be the knock-on effect on those people?
Well, there's a lot of people who've already said it, did various meetings I've been at, well, it didn't really impact me. It only impacts the new entrants. Well, it's bad enough that it impacts the new entrants because these are our lowest paid workers who have had £2,000 stripped away. But what you've got to realise is if you don't fight this battle, if they don't believe, the company don't believe you're up for a fight on it, then you'll be next. And that's been proven in EE. If you look at EE, they came in and T-Mobile had bank holiday payments and they stripped them away. There was no negotiation. There was no alternatives offered. They just came in and stripped it away. So if you're sat there pretty thinking, great, I'm all right, though, it's only new entrants, don't be. Don't be. This is Pandora's box. If they get away with this and you don't show your strength, everything's up for grab, whether it be new grid, whether it be your attendances, whether it be all your allowances, whether it be your pay. This is a battle that you all have to wake up and realise it's you next. It might not impact you now, but it will if we don't win this battle.
Thanks for that, Steve. That's clarified it. Also, we've got the new operating model, and I know it's causing a lot of stress and distress for our members, where they're using a system that doesn't always work. Where are we with that when people are struggling now in the call centres with this new model?
Look, we have been very clear when we were positioned with the new operating model. We don't think it works. In some respects, we think it's a cynical approach again to remove skilled workers. We had a grading for Camp 3 workers where clearly our Camp 3 people were the go-to people. Every one of the team, if they were stuck, would go to these individuals. They would help them and resolve the customers' issues. Unfortunately, we wanted, for the company didn't want to pay them. We had a grading that we were promised on numerous occasions to recognise the skills they had, but they have stripped that away and introduced a new operating model where everyone has to go to the manager. I don't want to have a go at our managers, but unfortunately, they don't have the answers to those questions. And they wanted to utilise our members still. Now, thankfully, our members haven't done that. They haven't been subject matter experts. They've pointed towards the manager. And we're well aware that the model's breaking. So it shows how cynical Nick Lane is, that he's prepared to disrupt customer service purely as a way of not having to pay our skilled workers for the skills that they have. So he's actually not only hurting our members and not recognising what they've got, he's actually hurting customers. And he, you know, again, this is why we have to win this fight. People in EE and BT have higher skills and knowledge that's needed to support customers, and they should be recognised for that. And that's why the new operating model, we believe, was designed to try and strip that away. And we've been attacking it, and we've been proven right, because the model doesn't work and customers are suffering. So he needs to revisit that and come back around the table with us.
Thanks for that, Steve. You've kind of touched on it, because we're talking now about grading, and we were promised TM3 grades, TM2 grades. People had an opportunity to progress. But where are we now when Nick Lane thinks that all jobs are straightforward and TM1 are less? Where's the progression chances for people?
Well, you're exactly right. And if you only have to look at the model in EE, we speak to our EE members all the time. And he did exactly the same in EE. Work was stripped away, skill was stripped away. So people who had high offline skills are all doing them online now, but they're doing them on the basis of goodwill. And that's exactly what he wants in EE. He wants to strip that away, sorry, in BT, he wants to strip that away and have one skill, but actually they'll still be doing all that higher graded work, but they'll be doing it on goodwill rather than being rewarded with the salary that they need. And it's going to damage the company as well, because people will come in, and don't get me wrong, some people don't want a career in consumer or a call centre, but those who do will be stuck at TM1. And don't be, you know, BT will come out and say, oh, well, there's managers' roles and what have you. But you speak to our managers, the vast majority of them are seconded, and have been seconded for many, many years. So, you know, let's be clear, this attack that's taken place is about downgrading work, preventing career progression, and getting it done on the cheap. I want to use that word that everyone's been using. It's a race to the bottom. That's what it is. It's a race to the bottom for profit, but not for any you know, reasonable reason or any common sense reason that would help the customer and reward our members.
Thanks, Steve. You've kind of touched on it again there, because we've a split workforce in some respects. We've got young people who might just see this as a job, not as a long-term career. So what do you say to those people that feel that they might not be here for a year or more? Why does it still affect them in the long term?
Look, I think, you know, you're right. Some people don't see a career, but, you know, we're in a world of COVID now. And as we come out of COVID, you know, jobs are going to be very, very scarce. So it might be a job that you want to hold on for longer. So you may be here for a year or 2 years. And again, if we don't win this battle, don't think that's the only attack that's being had on you, whether it's your bank holidays or your Sunday payments. Further attacks could take place on your salary. But equally, you know, if we don't fight it, your site could close and you could be in a very, very difficult position in a job market that's going to be very, very challenging. So to be honest, I think it's crucial that you still stay in, because I think in some respects, when we come out of COVID, this job, you know, unfortunately, if it's not the job you want, might be the job you have to have for a period of time until the economy picks up. So yeah, I think it's crucial to you.
That's a good point. And so the other part of our members are people that might have been here for years, like myself, and they may be on pay and pension protection. Is there any news on that? What's the company planning with our pay and pension protection people?
Well, it's interesting you talk about pay and pension protection, because within pay and pension protection, we have seen attacks taking place already. We're in a new unique situation, really. We've dealt with site closures and work closing down and buildings closing really, really well in the past. We've done it on a voluntary way. We've had transition centres that enable people to get retrained, reskilled, and move into other roles and have their salary protected if the only option was a lower grade. But we've seen Q&As coming around already in technology, where people are going through the redundancy process, and we've never had compulsory redundancy, and that's the strength of our union. We've never had that for 34 years. They're going through compulsory redundancy process. They've asked the question, well, I want to apply for this TM1 role, and the company have said, well, no, that's you applying for the role yourself. so it doesn't attract paying pension protection. Now, we're challenging that. We've got legal opinion, and we believe our legal opinion's right, and we've challenged it. But like I said, I think if we don't win this battle, they will still keep chipping away at these type of things. You know, they will probably say, well, I don't think a C3 going to a TM1 is a reasonable job opportunity. And they're doing it on the basis of pay. But that was never the way the agreement's written, and it's not the way the agreement's written. It's basically written because, you know, if the company force closures or force them to leave their current role, that any role is available to them, no matter what the grade, and it should be paid. So yeah, there are attacks taking place on that, and that's why it's so crucial that we win this battle, because the strength of feeling of the members that you're up for a fight will stop it. I know it will.
Thanks for that, Steve. Also, we're hearing already of jobs going abroad and the offline work and more complex work going abroad. You mentioned COVID and the lack of jobs. What are the union going to do? Because we're worried about these jobs going abroad, and we know we're going to have people in the UK that need these jobs.
No, I think you're exactly right. In some respects, offshoring doesn't massively impact in consumer. I think we've done a really good job in actually getting the work back from offshore. But in other lines of business, I know that is happening. And to be fair, it's a disgrace, because some of the jobs are going offshore are based on the company giving us money to invest, UK money to invest in the UK network, and they're offshoring work, which is disgraceful. Don't get me wrong, in consumer, you know, we want to keep a close eye on it, because our members, when they were asked to move away from their old attendances to these new attendances, because offshore and the agency workers used to do all the lates and weekends, and our members have to do them now. If we ever saw a move of any offshoring in consumer, well, we'll be having a conversation with the company and saying, well, why should our members do lates and weekends anymore then, if that's what you can do? But we've seen, you know, members reporting to us already that they're speaking to call centres in the UK that aren't BT UK call centres. So it's not just about offshore. There is UK outsourcing that's taking place, and you know, we're demanding the numbers on that, because clearly that's again, if our members are doing lates and weekends and they're offshoring in the UK, then I'm sure our members will be very, very angry, because there was a big change for them.
Thanks, Steve. I noticed, and Andy this morning spoke about EE. There are our colleagues and union members. So are they taking part in the ballot, and what does that look like?
Yes, we are including our EE members in the ballot. Our EE members joined our union, a lot of members joined our union when we got recognition. We still had a lot of members before recognition. But when we got recognition, we wanted to harmonise them to our terms and conditions. And that's a really interesting point about the unagreed ones, because we agreed terms and conditions for a TM1 grades under a project called Project Bell. We believed they were, well, in some respects, as low as we would ever go. But those terms and conditions would have massively improved a lot of EE's workers when they were harmonised to them. So this EE campaign is crucial to them as well, because what we're actually doing is we're trying to protect the terms and conditions that would massively improve theirs. And that's why it's crucial that they're part of this campaign, because we want to harmonise them away from the old non-recognised terms and conditions they've got to the ones that we've achieved over many, many years. So yes, they are part of the ballot, because clearly it's just as important to them that we win this battle.
Thanks, Steve. You talk a lot about terms and conditions, and not all our members realise what the union's achieved with our terms and conditions. We're talking about potential centres closing. We don't know which call centres are closing, but we do have a term and condition, the EDDI process, about distances to travel. Is that at risk as well?
Well, yeah, because there's no joined up approach to the site strategy. No line of business is speaking to each other. We believe if all the lines of business spoke to each other, that we could massively limit the need for people to travel far. We've got an agreement that says you can travel 45 minutes each way. And I think that's, to be fair, if you want my honest opinion, that's right on the cusp of what's reasonable anyway. But off the back of it, we got pay and pension protection, which was brilliant. But yeah, you know, we've already seen in Aberdeen that Aberdeen's about an hour and a half away from there. And that was the only option that was offered to them. You know, and traveling an hour and a half on top of your normal travel anywhere, each way, it's just, there's no work-life balance there, is there? So yeah, so that's up for grabs. We're trying to work with them though. So don't get me wrong, if that situation did come up, within Consumer, we're offering things like permanent home working. We know it works, people can do it. And I think people may be able to travel a little bit further. If it was only once a month for a one-to-one, then they could potentially do that. So it just demonstrates that, as a collective union, we're trying to offer reasonable ways to deal with these situations. And the company are just refusing and they're ignoring them. So yeah, so it's already happened with Eddie. Eddie stands for members who don't know, the effective deployment of displaced individuals. So yeah, we've seen attacks on it already. And again, that's why the fight is so important. Carl, I seem to have lost Jackie.
Yes, I'm just wondering if Mr. Donald can come on. He has the questions as well. I apologise to anybody watching this. We've had a technical problem.
Yeah, it's okay. I think we all are today. Maybe BT Straw Open Routine sabotaging everything we're trying to do because they're panicking a lot. Just sort of covering off everything you've done, Steve. I've just been listening to Jackie. Thanks, Jackie, for doing what you did. It's basically, what can people do to help?
Well, there's a significant amount of work you can do to help. And I think, look, normally if we'd been in a situation where we're like this, we would have been out and speaking to you. We would have had meetings face to face. We would have been walking around, seeing you, speaking to you, tapping you on the shoulder. But unfortunately, we're in a COVID world. We have a significant number in COVID, nearly 60% working from home. So this is why we're having to do things like Zoom calls and what have you. But you individually, I know you speak to your friends. I know you might have your own WhatsApp groups or your own email lists or your own Facebook contact, or you might ring and speak to people on a regular basis. Don't just you vote yes, speak to 10 members, get them to speak to 10 members and get the word out, because it's going to be really, really difficult to engage, to get to everybody unless we all play our part. And, sometimes emails come out and texts come out and they get locked to them from the union and they might not open them. But if we get an email from you saying, by the way, you need to read this, by the way, don't forget this, we know they will open it. They know they'll open a text from you and a WhatsApp. So please, 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 you are part of this campaign. We all have a role to play. We all have a role to play in getting that message out. So every single one of you should be a branch rep and get the message out and speak to as many people as you can. And then you've done everything you can to get the ballot across the line and hopefully stop what's happening to us.
Thanks, Steve. Again, I apologize. I think I'm having a few gremlins as well with my connection. I think I've had a look in the chat box. There doesn't seem to be anything else coming through, and I think pretty much covered everything off. I was just wondering if anybody else had any input who's on the call this morning. If anyone's got any questions for Steve before we wrap up. No?
Steve?
Back in.
Sorry about that. There's workmen outside.
I think with that, Steve, really thanks for your...
Apologies, workmen outside. And
all right, Jack, off you go. All right, I was just going to wrap up, Jackie, because Steve just answered about what can we do to help.
Thank you.
Comprehensive on that. So I think we're just about done, unless anyone who's on the call would like to, before we do finish. No? That's great. All right, well, Steve, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate everybody coming on this morning and taking the time to do it. Let's take the fight to these people. Let's get a massive yes vote and let's get the CWU back so we can speak for all of our members going forward. And with that, with nothing else, everybody, please be safe out there with COVID. Keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, and hopefully we'll see each other soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you very much.